Welcome back, and in this segment we will be talking about, of course, the celebration of the Orthodox Christmas, but also we will be making and taking the opportunity that we have one of the fathers of the Red Sea Desert from the monastery of Saint Anthony, and we'll talk also about the monastic life in Egypt, especially that Saint Anthony is the founder of monotheism, not only in Egypt but all over the world. He was the first to start monastic life in Egypt and in the world. And Saint Anthony was or is known as Saint Anthony the Great, also Saint Anthony of Thebes, Saint Anthony of the desert, and of course he is one of the most important saints in Egypt. He went to the Red Sea area where he first started his ascetic life in a cave, and also he met with Father Paul as well, and we will be learning more about the various miracles he performed and guiding the monks to the ascetic life. And I'm happy to have with me Fr Maximous Elantony, and he's from St. Anthony's Monastery. Welcome with us, Father, and of course, Merry Christmas.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas, Father, and let's start with how do you celebrate Christmas in the churches? Do you have certain rituals for this event?
We celebrate the Christmas on the 6th of January, the evening of the 6th of January. And in the church we do what we call it the night prayer first. And this takes something like 3 hours continuously, and then after that we started the Mass for the Christmas, and the Mass for the Christmas supposed to finish after the midnight because we celebrate the Christmas day on the 7th of January, but the celebration of the church started from the 6th in the evening till the 7th of January. And this is a very good opportunity for the people together in the church to celebrate the birth of Christ. And we are in the church to start the day of the birth of the Christ in the church. And this is how we celebrate the Christmas Eve in the Coptic Church.
Father, when we talk about ascetic life, actually the hermit and ascetic life is known in Christianity. Even sometimes it's mentioned that it goes back to John the Baptist himself. And of course, when we talk about the humbleness to God, we always talk about Al-Betula, and we talk about, first of all, Jesus Christ and the Holy Virgin as well. Now, would you tell us more about the start of the ascetic life in Egypt and some of the important landmarks or parts of the life of Saint Anthony, in other words?
Normally the Egyptians from the early time by nature, they are very strong believers. They believe in God, whatever the God for them, but they believe in God. And to believe in God, you have to worship God and you have to offer something for Him. And this is how the early Egyptians, they started to offer many sacrifices for God, till the Christianity came to Egypt in the 1st century by St. Mark. And the Egyptians, they still trying to offer themselves for God. And we can see how in the beginning of the Christianity in Egypt, how the Christians, they offer themselves in the Roman time, even in the Byzantine time. And we have many martyrs. They martyred in the beginning of the Christianity because they would like to offer their life for God. Then by the 3rd century, when the Roman Empire announced that the empire will be a Christian empire by the time of the Constantine, and the people still are trying to offer their life for God. And this is how St. Anthony, when he was born in the 251 in Egypt, in a village in Upper Egypt, still this village with the name of the monk, and the agricultural land around the village still with the name of the monk, till now. because St. Anthony, he sold his land and he started to live this ascetic life, which it was already exist in that time in Egypt, but it hasn't an official title or an official way of life or an official uniform. But we have some ascetic people are living around the villages, worshiping God in different way. And St. Anthony started to live with them, and then he started to live alone in the desert, and he created, or he found the monasticism in Egypt. And this is why we call St. Anthony the father of the monasticism, and St. Anthony Monastery is the first and the oldest monastery all over the world. And still the ascetic life in the monasteries, in the Coptic monasteries in Egypt, we have many monasteries and many nunneries for the nuns. And all of them, they are living in an ascetic life. And if we look to the monasticism, how the people, they live the cities and they live the families and their work and their property, and they go to live in a desert. This is the first step, to live in a desert, to start the ascetic life. And we still, the monks are practicing the ascetic life in their monasteries.
We've witnessed a sad event that happened a few days ago about the bombing of the church, or the killing of Christians during a mass ceremony. And every now and then we listen to these sad events, bombing of a church, trying to kill some Christians. Father, how do you react to such event, and what do you advise to not the people, of course, who's doing so, but what do you advise to your own people and Christians? What do you tell them?
I think for everybody, he should find an advisor for his life. For example, if we look to the kids, they need the advice of their parents. And if we look to the youth, also they need an advisor. Everybody needs an advisor to guide his life in the right way. You could be guided by books, or by somebody, or by some preaching. It's a different way of guidance. And that's why we have to think about how we are guiding the youth, how we are guiding the young people in the country. And this is something very important. For example, in the Coptic Church, we have what we call it the Sunday school. Sunday school, we started with the kids to teach them how to love each other, how not to attack anybody, how to help the others, how to love the country, how to love your parents, how to be honest and love your work. And this is what we start with the kids, to teach them. Even we continue with them, if they are grew up and they became a youth, we started also to teach them how to live in a right way with themselves, with their families, with the community, with the country. And I think this is the rule of the country. We have to ask ourselves, where is the guide of the youth? The guide of the youth is the media, or the books, or the preachers. What is the guide of the youth? If we find the right guide for the youth, I think we'll guide them in the right way, because we teach them how to be successful in their life, how to take care of their study and their work, and how to love the country, how to be honest, how to be developed, how to be very advanced, how to look all over the world what the people are doing. Because if we look all over the world, the people are taking care of their life. I mean, their daily life, they are taking care of their development, they are taking care of their food, for example, taking care of their health, taking care of their scientific way of life, They are looking around themselves for everything. And this is, if we look to that, I think the people, they will open their eyes around themselves to see how the people are living, because we should live in peace and we should live in successful life. My advice is the question, who is the guide of the earth?
Well, Father, I'd like to return back to the monastery and the life of Saint Anthony, because I understand that Saint Anthony had to fight many temptations, and he met with several demons, and he managed to find his spiritual salvation. So would you talk to us a bit about the struggle of Saint Anthony to reach spirituality and to reach the status that he maintained?
Of course, Saint Anthony has a lot of temptation while he was living in the desert. And this is normal for the humanity, because everybody, he should face the temptation in his life.
But I understand he won them all, that he managed to overcome them all.
Yeah. And the temptation of Saint Anthony was about the materialistic life, for example, and about the social life, and about the life in the desert, about what we are facing now. We still have the same temptation. I mean, temptation means it's a struggle between the human and the devil, because the human is trying to go back to God, but the devil, he is trying to pull us and
away from that track.
From that, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The Christmas this year comes and unfortunately coincides with the event of Donald Trump announced that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. How did you react to also such a statement, and how did you feel about it?
I feel that it's very strange, because the human being now, they're trying to be troublemakers for themselves. They are not looking for peace, or they are not looking for a better life, but they are trying to look for miserable life for the humanity. And those people whom are trying to create these problems, they will make these problems for themselves and for the humanity. And this will disturb the humanity, it will disturb the future, will disturb the peace. And I found that this will not make peace in the area, but it will disturb the peace of the area.
Yes. Father, now you've mentioned that the monastery of St. Anthony is the oldest monastery. And I understand we have the cave and we have the monastery. So would you give us a glimpse about them, please, and the history of each?
Yeah, you know, when St. Anthony started to live as a monk, he was the first one who called monk, and he was the first one who had the uniform of the monks, and he was the first one who created a monastery. And he started to live on the Nile in a place we call it now, it's Maymun Monastery, belonging to Bani Suif, and then he moved to the desert because he was looking for a silent place. When he went there to the mountain now called Galala Mountain, but the origin of the name of the mountain is Kalala Mountain. Kalala means cells of the monks. And when he went there, he found a natural cave. He lived in the cave alone, and he stopped there next to the cave because he found the spring, natural spring, and he found some palm trees, and that's why he stopped there. He lived there in the cave, and till something like 5-6 years ago, we don't know exactly how the monks started their life there, but we have a new discovery in the monastery. Since 2003, we discovered that the monks, when they started to follow St. Anthony, they went there, but there is no monastery in that time, only St. Anthony living in a cave, but they found a valley, and they lived in the valley, and they constructed their cells from the mud brick inside the valley, in the two sides of the valley. And we discovered some of these cells in that valley under one of the recent churches. And from that time, the monks, they started to live with St. Anthony in the valley, and then because the valley, it's the way of the running water from the rain, it doesn't survive for long, and then they started to live on top of the valley, creating the churches and the cells and the walls around themselves, and this is how they started the first monastery at St. Anthony, Red Sea desert. Till now, the mountain called Galala Mountain. And we have, you know, that we have Egyptian marble called Galala marble, comes from there, but originally it's Kalala, which means the mountain of cells.
We're starting a new year, we're starting 2018. What are your wishes for this year to Egypt, to the Arab world?
We wish that everybody look to his life. I wish that we should think about what is the target and what is the aim of our life. If we think about our life, I think we will reach the right point. Because normally the people, they live without thinking about their future and about their life. Just they are living with the tradition, or are living with the habits, the daily habits. But if we think about, I think everybody, he will find that what is the meaning of the life. Everybody will find that we should change our life, we should change our way of living, we should change our thinking, because
how we change our way of life and thinking.
Yes, if we think about, for example, what I need from my life. Do I just living and eating and sleeping and working, that's all? No, this is not the meaning of the life. The meaning of the life is how I can live as a human. Because if I will live as a human, I will have relation with God, with the real God, I mean. And if I have relation with the real God, God is love, God is peace. Which means if I am not living in peace and in the real life, this means I don't know God. Who is God? I have to ask myself, who is God? God is existing, God is inside us, God is around us, God is guiding our life. We are in the hand of God. We should think about this, not our new God. I think now the people, they are thinking about new God. They don't know who is the God.
What's new God?
New God means for themselves, I can feel that, okay, my God is, I should be the first, or I should be the best, or I should be the guide, or I should be the powerful. I mean, they are different. The people that are different now, they think that this is the real God, but it's not the God. For example, if you look to the power of the Roman Empire or Byzantine or Ottoman, all these empires, it's gone already. We shouldn't look for the power, we should look for God. Means peace and love. Peace and love is the only two things can give the satisfaction for the human. Without both, there is no satisfaction, and everybody is looking for something else. You are looking for something outside yourself, but inside yourself, if you look for these two things, love and peace, you will live in a very good life.
Fr Anthony, now we are moving to a quick break, and we're coming back after this break, so please stay tuned.